Sambuddha, the the most preeminently enlightened one, Tam Bande Vadatam Param. To that Buddha, who was the master of speech, I salute. Like in this verse, friends, I would like to tell you that Nagarjuna invokes that how what he taught was something which brought an end to unpeaceful existence that is marked by samsara, prapancha, and about that I will be talking a few minutes later. I don't know, half an hour time she has given me. 5:30 I will complete my talk. So I know about him, all of us know. So like in his early life, Buddha came in contact with like seems to have been in conflict with his father. You know the Sita Kala Deva's story, who told that he will be either a prince, a great king, or a great monk, and father was not comfortable with such a story, like such a like a forecast, like so he was very uncomfortable. So but all types of attempts made by everybody around did not work. Buddha wanted to have a life of peace and mindfulness. How it is, let me take you through Buddha's insightful criticism. See, he saw, as I told you, this peace is not a positive concept. It is a positive concept as an absolute level, ultimate level. Otherwise, it is the lack of conflict which is the peace. This is what Gita also says. Andru samsyam. There is no concept called peace that is also coming out in Gita. I'm not taking you to the Gita, but Buddha's insightful criticisms of Veda, like a knowledge and of the meaning and gradual evolution of the rites and rituals. Buddha was very well versed with the all types of laws, disciplines available during his time. Okay. Critical evaluation of the current social and political structures, detailed analysis of moral conventions, and illuminating thoughts about nature and function of language, all of which can be clearly seen in the discourses in Pali attributed to him. The Sanskrit counterparts are equally available, equally vocal about this, all of which can be clearly seen in the discourses, would not have been result of a sudden enlightenment, much less the Sarvagya, which he openly disclaimed. About this Sarvagya that I don't have time to speak about to you what it means, the omniscience in the case of Buddha. That is what is brought out by Nagarjuna later on. So instead, his enlightenment can be considered the combination of the mature response to traditional learning he had received as a student and penetrating understanding of human life and nature of existence. So, there are so many things which I am not going to take you through, but the reaction to the tradition is first thing that which Buddha does. Like after leaving home, Buddha came in contact with many people, especially skeptics. Skeptics were the ascetics and Brahmins, those which are believing in skepticism, also in Upanishads, like Ajita Kesa Kambali, Makhali Goshala, Paduka Kachayana, Purana Kassapa, Sanjaya Vellathiputta, and Mahavira all have already reacted against the tradition. And Buddha comes here, he says, all this type of the explanation, reaction is full of, again, they're reactions, they're not actions. Buddha wanted not to react. Buddha's reaction was a reaction which was acceptable, which was not violent. Buddha always preached a middle path about which I will be speaking to you in a few minutes from now. So with a critical attitude, Siddhartha could not simply depend upon the authority either of the traditional not Brahmins, because most of his disciples were Brahmins. I would not tell that Brahmins and non-Brahmins, because Buddha is. If you read the beautiful Pali discourses, he invites Brahmins, goes to the center of so-called Brahminical tradition, that is Varanasi, outskirts of Varanasi, invites people, says, are you doing proper thing? See how a wrong analysis takes you to violence. It is the wrong analysis of the Vedas which has taken him to believe and preach and practice killing of the animals. All these things Buddha is doing and trying to show that how there is a way out. And the Brahmins get convinced. Professor Love, if he is there, he knows how many Pali episodes are there in which he tries to convince the people that this is not the way in which you are trying to act and understand the tradition. So that is Buddha's. So first thing, first reaction. So now he has, after leaving palace, Siddhartha stayed first with the two people, Alara Kalam and Uddaka Ramaputra. I wanted to tell this great audience of who have to say jigyasus, those who like Buddha's teachings, that his first two teachers were Alara Kalam and Uddaka Ramaputra. They were Upanishadic practitioners. I would like to tell you here one thing, that in his search for peace and mindfulness, what Buddha does is he comes in contact with two Brahmin teachers, Uddaka Ramaputra and Alara Kalama, who are trying to see something exactly like what Buddha is going to do in future. Buddha stayed with him for 2 years. So some people say 2 years, 2 to 4 years. The period varies. So then there they taught him the meditative practices which Upanishads enshrine, speak to give a way for a wholesome life, not having anything to do with himsa, not having anything to do with conflicts, not at all touching that body of the Vedas which talks about Karmakanda. So they are the people Buddha stayed with him, but that type of meditation Buddha thought is not holistic. It is again going to some type of extreme tongue tapping, like it is encouraging a essentialization in philosophical terms, essentialism, which Buddha was not comfortable with, and he leaves them and goes to this happens in Magadha. Alara Kalama and Uddaka Ramaputra. I would like to give a footnote to all of you. Prasant is there and all other very eminent scholars are there attending today. This Uddaka Ramaputra is the one who was the he was the first proponent of Vipassana meditation, which Buddha develops later on. And Alara Kalama, Uddaka Ramaputra, he was not, they are representatives of the Upanishads, Upanishadic tradition. Buddha was uncomfortable with them, found that their thinking also suffers from some type of essentialism, which is why Buddha moved onwards and made 5 ascetics, those who were practicing severe forms of self-mortification. And since I teach this as a course to my students, I know their name. Looks, they are from South India. Kundanna, Baddaya, Bappa, Mahanama, Ashaji, maybe they were. See, India was a small country in those days. People moved from one place to another place easily. So many, now the teachers always came from the South India. It was full. People, China's presence, Tibet's presence, Mongolia, Korea, all these things. See, the philosophical, what to say, nerve center was Nalanda and Mithila. Always tell this, that the fall of Nalanda and fall of Mithila is the fall of Indian philosophy, our country. It is time that we must, all of us must try to revive these two traditions. One is the Nalanda tradition, another is Mithila traditions. Like Professor Sinha is here. We had a seminar on Mithila, Vachaspati Misra. Tell me another scholar in our country who can match the ability of writing philosophical systems as Vachaspati did. And what he did, he wrote a commentary on Sankara who was in Kerala. I am telling you, place is so small. Anyway, I am not taking into that. So, like with them who are practicing severe form of self-mortification, Buddha spent about 6 years, 6 long years of mortification. And at last Buddha finds this is again violence. If you become violent to your body, you are violent. Body has to be respected. See the Ashtanga Marga. I don't have time today. I don't know how much time. Whenever your time is up, please tell me. I'll stop. But Buddha could not stay at that place. So out of he found no meaning. He found absolute futility, meaninglessness of such deprivation. Abandoned that life. And many people could not. And there is a Pragbodhi place here nearby. I would invite all of you to come to this Pragbodhi place where Buddha spent 6 years of his time doing self-mortification to find this is not peace. In this way, mindfulness will never come. So Buddha proceeds further, travels further, and goes to the tree, Bodhi. He goes to Gaya, the other side of the Gaya. Please see, Buddha chooses those places. Sarnath, this side of Varanasi. Bodh Gaya, this side of Gaya. He wanted, I should not say this, but it is a fact. Buddha and Buddhists have taught how philosophy has to be done. How precisely you should logically present the facts of life, and how that should be meaningfully implemented to life to bring about peace and mindfulness. Time permits, I will speak about mindfulness and peace, but I thought it is important that I must give a preface, a prologue to peace and mindfulness. That is why I am spending a little time in this. So all Siddhartha, after getting enlightenment, first thing he does is he goes in search of these two people whose teaching he found a lot of meaning. That is Alara Kalama and Buddha Kramaputra. By that time, both of them are dead and gone. He could not find, but still a little of their teaching Buddha imbibes and tries to put in his teaching and says that how things are not transcendental, things are practical, and things are very much practicable, and that is being experimented in his vast discourse, that is Dharma Chakra Pravartana Sutra. Before that, when he was going from Bodh Gaya to Sarnath, on his way, he goes to a place, Kalamas. He tells Kalamas, the Kalamas, they knew that it was a great, like a boy a great person has got enlightened. It was very clearly visible in his being, and Buddha, Buddha was not for teaching. Buddha wanted to simply spend his time in meditation the rest of the life. It seems Brahma. I know that is a myth. I don't subscribe to that. But somehow he is telling he goes to the village, and when the people say that tell something to us, he says, I will say something, but don't take anything if it is not meaningful for you. Anything not meaningful for in our practice is violent. It is not based on mindfulness. These two things I wanted to tell you in the beginning before I go to that. Buddha says, I quote. Buddha says, I often quote this verse again. I am quoting. Buddha says, see, bhikkhus, he addresses them as bhikkhus because he knows, according to Buddhism, especially Mahayana Buddhism, everybody will be liberated once or like sometimes in future. and there will be bodhisattvas who will be taking care of them, and they will be taking care of them to bring them mindfulness, and peace will automatically come when mindfulness comes. And Buddha says, I quote, Tapacha Chedacha Vikasa, Suvarna Viva Pandita, Pariksha Madhvatyo Grahyo, Vichavaha, Natu Gaurava. Oh, because don't take anything that I say because you like me, you have respect in me, because I'm a prince, I'm a king, whatever it is. Don't think that I'm a wise man, that for whatever I say, that is true. See how sanity is being taught by great teachers like the Buddha. And the people come and say, do whatever I say, and they never do anything of that. Whatever they say, they don't do. So Buddha is telling, how do the people purchase gold? They put it into fire, tapa. They cut it. They rob it against a stone. Suvarnam iva pandita. Gold is purchased in this way. Pariksha madvacho grahyo vichavaha nat hoga. Oh, we choose calamus. Buy my ideas. Accept me after due experimentation, after due analysis. Pariksha by Gaurava, not out of respect. That is how the whole concept of come and see. If you come and see, your seeing is nothing but mindfulness. And it will lead to a state of mindfulness cannot come if there is no peace, if there is no arana. I'll come to that in a minute. So Siddhartha was looking for the proper explanation. As I told you, it did not come just like that. One day he got enlightenment. Everything was there behind his mind, and any analysis he does with mindfulness. I'll give you a few examples before I proceed. What mindfulness and what this is all about. So Siddhartha was looking for an explanation, not the neatness associated with the explanation. He was not ready to push things under the rug because they stood on the way of formulating absolute laws. So the three things that he finds out as the problematics to absence of peace, absence of mindfulness. This is the beginning of the Buddha's philosophy, and this philosophy is based on a Chaturarya Satya. I will, Rajani, if the time is over, tell me, I'll complete.
Yes,
The three things.
2-3 minutes. 2-3 minutes.
How many minutes?
2-3 minutes. 2-3 minutes.
2-3 minutes. Okay. He says, greed, lobha, dosha, and moha. The same way the Gita says Arjuna's experimentation working out raga and moha. Moha remains the same. Buddha makes lobha and dvesa. He says these are the hard things, and how to understand this. He makes formulating, philosophizing. Madam, Dr. Punam Singh is there. What is philosophizing? Broader generalization. And how does broader generalization happen? By science. The first paradigm of science is philosophizing, classification, and understanding. Classification and explanation. Buddha says whole human existence can be brought under this Chaturarya Satya. This can only provide the ground foundation for mindfulness. What is that? What is the most ancient science? The most ancient science is medical science. Buddha says that if philosophy has to be sustainably made to reach out to all the people, not a few, only the Brahmins, those who are doing yaga. No. If it has to be reaching out to all the people, it must be best philosophically, analytically, logically, or rationally. So it should be medical science. If there is a body, there will be problem in the body. Therefore, first is there will be disease. There is disease. There is dukkha. There the disease comes. There is a cause of the disease. Roga nidana. Okay. Then roga parihara upaya. Okay. Then vaishajyam. Buddha designs this thing, four noble truths of the past mindful explanations of philosophical explanations Buddha brings about, and he situates the whole thing on this. And I will not take you to much of this what I wanted to speak, because my time is getting over. He for talking about peace, he talks at the heart of his teaching is peace, not peace with others, but inner peace. What is inner peace? To respond to hatred with compassion, to overcome anger with understanding, to replace greed with contentment. His vision of peace was universal, transcending caste, creed, and status, and that is what very clearly brought out in the Four Noble Truths of the Buddha. And you can see the many places he talks about peace. He says, one who lays down the rod in relation to all beings, who harms not only of them, who cultivates loving kindness in heart, such a one experiences peace and happiness. Sasanti mapnoti nakam kami Gita is exactly translated Sabbesu bhutesu nidhaya dandam abhihitetham. So ekam antam sukham edhati. I don't have time to take you through all these things. So nahi vairena vairani sammantiha kadachana avarena sammanti esu dhammo sanatanu. This is Sanatana Dharma. He is telling hatred is never appeased by hatred. It is appeased by non-hatred. And this is the eternal law. The Chakravarti concept he develops as far as the kings are concerned. Santam eva paramarthaha. The peace alone is the ultimate reality, and that is what, like sukha kamani bhutani yo dandena visimhati athano sukham esano pacha sona lavati sukham. So this is the translation is, whoever harms living beings, desiring happiness with a weapon, seeking happiness for himself, will not find happiness when he is alive or even after his death. One thing I wanted to tell you, Buddha, if you see very carefully, does not only talk about human beings. He talks about all sentient beings. In many ways, I always felt that Pancha Mahayajna, which is the early, the ethics of the Indian tradition, is reverberated, reflected in Buddha's teachings. Another cornerstone of this Buddha teaching is this mindfulness, which is called as sati. Mindfulness means living with full awareness of the body, of feelings, of the thoughts, and the mental states. And I wanted to tell you something here before I complete my talk, Rajini. That is, Kshanikavada is based on this particular concept of mindfulness. What is Kshanikavada? Be aware of this kshana, this present. What is that kshana? I live in the present. We don't live in the present. We live either in the past or in the future, what I will be and what I was. Buddha says, no, live. The most important concept that Buddha offers to the mankind for bringing mindfulness is Kshanikavada. And this is what also Mahabharata tells when Duryodhana meets Krishna, why do you don't take our support us? Why you are supporting them? Krishna says, the Pandavas are those who neither live in the past nor in the future. They live in the present. I therefore like. Buddha's teaching is exactly like that. He says, there I quote Mahabharata, Vartante Vartamanena. Vartamanena Vartante Tehime Pandavaha Priyaha. Therefore I like them. You are either living in the past, that your father was a king, or you will be a Chakravarti, a Raja, whatever it is. I like them because they live in the present. Therefore, Smritihi Sarvartha Sadhika. This is a Bodhicharya avatar of Santideva. I think Professor, those who have studied Mahayana, they know, in Satipatthana, in Santideva, we find such a number of descriptions about this thing, even in Dharmapada, we say like the sabba pasa akaranam kusalasya upasampada, that etam buddhasya shasanam, etam buddhasya sasanam. To avoid all evil, cultivate good, and to purify one's mind is the teaching of the Buddha. So, I know time is not enough. Getting not in our hands. Yes, so he says, Santi hi param sukham. Highest happiness is Santi, and this can happen. Four things I wanted to, before I end, I must talk about Brahma Vihara, which is the cornerstone, is the foundation for this mindfulness. What is that? Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. And four immeasurables in Buddhism, especially Mahayana Buddhism, which Brahma Vihara, which is called a Brahma Vihara. And where the Brahma the rebels. So anyway, I have taken a lot of your time, and I think I like this is a very important, so to say, topic, that mindfulness. I hope I have some more time. Maybe another sometime we'll talk about this. Buddha says, this is the only path. Ekayanam ayam vikkhave maggo sattanam visuddhaya. Oh monks, this is only the path for the purification of beings, the four foundations of mindfulness. This Brahma, that is that a lot of explanation is required for that. I am again thankful to all of you. Life will be great if sati is practiced, mindfulness practice, and sarvartha sadhika sati, that is what Pali. Sabbarthika, sati sabbarthika. Mindfulness is always beneficial for achieving everything. So prajna sahitam smriti, that is what another in Sanskrit text, I think mindfulness accompanied by wisdom is the best way to achieve all the nirvana, the wholesome, holistic state of life. So with this, I conclude my talk for the today. I am thankful to all of you for listening to me attentively, and thanks to Rajni for giving this floor to me to speak on one of the greatest sons of the soil, who has converted himself from an ordinary person to an extraordinary institution that has enlightened and will enlighten the world for times to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your discussion on the topic today. You have praised the evolution of philosophical ideology of Buddha in the context of socio-political and socio-economic context which prevailed in the time of Buddha. Your effective explanation of the subject, मुझे उम्मीद है कि हमारे जितने भी यहाँ पे शोधार्थी विद्यार्थी हैं वो इनसे बहुत लाभान्वित हुए होंगे. और thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your thoughts on the subject. Thank you.
धन्यवाद सर.
इस कार्यक्रम को हम आगे बढ़ाते हुए अभी हमारे पास ज्यादा समय तो नहीं है, तो हम बहुत लोगों का प्रश्न है, लेकिन अब नेक्स्ट टाइम, आज हमारे पास समय थोड़ा कम हो गया है. मैं ऐसे चाहती थी, मैंने अविनाश श्रीवास्तव सर भी हैं इस हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए, थोड़ा उनका भी इसमें पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू लेना था. तो अगर सर 2 लाइन में दे सकते हैं तो अच्छा रहेगा. अविनाश श्रीवास्तव सर.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद समय देने के लिए. मैं पहले
वक्ताद्वय की भूरी भूरी प्रशंसा करता हूँ, जो इन्होंने समस्त बातों को सम्यक रूप से संपादित करने का प्रयास किया है। और इसका सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि इन्होंने सतिपट्ठान सूत्र के ऊपर वैद्यनाथ लाभ जी ने कहा था, वस्तुतः mind is the fountainhead of all the good and bad actions. So it has to be taken into consideration how to control the mind, because Buddha, ये धम्मपद starts मनोपबंगमा धम्मा मनो सिक्था मनोमया मन साचे प्रसन्ने न भासति वा करोति वा ततो व सुख मन दुख मनवेति चक्कं व बहतो पदं. So in that way you will have to control the mind, and unless until the mind is controlled, you cannot rise in any field of the life, because mind is wandering everywhere. In Gita says, Indriyanam hi charanta yanmanonu vidhiyate tadasya haranti pragyan vayurunavivambisi. And for that, Buddha has given the Satipatthana Sutta. And in Satipatthana, what happens? Normally, our mind roams in 3 days. And he says the time is a threefold present. Past is the present experience, present remembering. Present is the present experience, and the future is the future expectation. And when mind wanders in between the two, past and the future, what happens? We lose the balance of mind, and that's why he says, you be in the present. It means the present experience, how it can be. And for that, he has given the message of Satipatthana. Satipatthana creates, if you concentrate your mind, as Labji has said, on respiration, anapanasati, what will happen? All the thought process of our past and the future is curtailed, and you remains in the present. And for that, Buddha has said, it is the state of kriya chitta. You neither think for the past nor the expectation of the present. And whatever you do in the present, and that is the state that samatvam yoga uchyate in the world of Gita, and then you can perform the work in a nice way, yoga karma supashana. I also appreciate Professor Misra, Godavarish Misra. He has said that after enlightenment, Buddha want to talk to his, give this message to his 2 gurus, Alar Kalam and Udakka Ramaputta. I tell you, sir, both were the student of Yoga Sutra, and that's why the entire teaching of the Buddha, the 4 Arya Satta, are based on the Chaturvyuhavad. You have narrated it also. Yoga Sutra says, Heya, Heyang Dukham Anagatan, Heya Hetu, Han, and then Hanupai. And Charak Samhita says, Roga, Hetu, Arogyam, and Bhaisajyamati. You have narrated it also. On that it says, there is dukkha, there is cause of dukkha. The dukkha can be away, and for that he has given the gradual path for medicine. So in that way, sir, I appreciate both the speakers for that. But one thing I would like to say you, Buddha was never disappointed with his Guru Alar Kalam. Guru, the Udakka Ramaputta, was in know of Neva Sanya and Nav Sanya only. And then he says, Siddha, you strive your own and try to get more meditation for attaining the enlightenment, because I have attained enlightenment, I have attained knowledge up to Neva Sanya and Na Sanya. And thereafter he also says, if you so like, you can be the master of my clans and all their students. But Buddha was dissatisfied. He said, no, I will not stay here. I will strive for my own enlightenment. So these both the gurus, they have taught them the meditation. One is of the Rupa Jhana, and Udakka Ramaputta up to the Neva Sanya, Na Sanya stage. And thereafter, the work of the Buddha starts. And that's why Buddha again says, Tumhe hi kichanga tapang akkhataro tathagato. I am not a mokshadata. I cannot grant you the liberation. I can only guide you. You will have to endeavor for that. So nice of you, sir. for a very elaborate deliberation and brilliant exposition. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
अब मैं आगे बढ़ती हूँ और
Rajini ji, can I just make a small observation? I'm really grateful to Professor Abhinas for such brilliant intervention. But why I'm telling that Buddha was not totally convinced about Alara Kalaman Uddaka Ramaputra's teaching is because from the this such type of an idea can be drawn from the philosophy of Nagarjuna, not from Sarvastivada or other things, other schools. Because Nagarjuna would not essentialize anything. So, but even if it is a Upanishad, Atmavada or Yoga, whatever, essentializing was a part of Alara Kalama and Buddha Karamaputra, which Buddha was somehow not very comfortable, I thought, from Nagarjuna's standpoint. But what you say is absolutely correct, because after getting enlightenment, Buddha goes in search of both the teachers. He found a lot of meaning in them, and he has drawn a lot of things. Very good observation, Professor. Very good. I'm grateful to you for your observations.
One more thing, sir. Any thought is addressing to its time and its problem. And that's why the Buddha's preaching was addressing to the time, culture, and the situation. That's why you say that he never philosophized it. And whenever any philosophical question were raised before him, he kept mum. You go tin avyakat pranha. All the philosophical questions he kept mum. And then what happened? The Jain saint says, oh, either you do not know all these things or you are ignorant about it. He says, I would ask one question. There was a lamp which is burning. He just bloomed it out and he said, where this lamp, the flame of the lamp went, south,
correct.
in the earth or in the sky. He said, it doesn't suit the case. He said, in the same way, the problem is dukkha, and all these questions doesn't suit the situation. And that's why I kept mum on the philosophical questions, and he never philosophized. And not only that, he also said that logical explanations are not needed in this time. This is time to solve the problem of the dukkha. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gautam.
Okay.
That is, the questions are mystical and transcendental and metaphysical questions he did not answer. But philosophical questions he did. And that is number one. And number two, as you say, it is all philosophers are of their time. The time is addressing good point. Yeah.
थैंक यू सर. अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. आज हम लोग ज्यादा टाइम नहीं दे सकते हैं क्योंकि अभी 5:30 तक का टाइम था, थोड़ा लेट हो गया. मैं अब अध्यक्षीय उद्बोधन के लिए मैं डॉक्टर रमेश चंद्र सिन्हा सर को आमंत्रित करती हूँ. और उनका तो कोई हम इंट्रोडक्शन सभी लोगों को पता है, ज्यादा हम क्या बोले उनके लिए, उनकी उपलब्धियां के लिए. तो मैं सर को बस इतना ही बोलूंगी कि वो सर अभी IIS शिमला के नेशनल फेलो हैं और भूतपूर्व इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ फिलोसॉफिकल रिसर्च के फॉर्मर चेयरमैन रह चुके हैं. मैं सर को आमंत्रित करती हूँ इस आभासीय पटल पर अपना अध्यक्षीय उद्बोधन के लिए. सर आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है सर.
सभी को मेरा प्रणाम और विशेषकर प्रोफेसर गोदावरेश मिश्रा और प्रोफेसर बैजनाथ लाल और दोनों व्यक्तियों के उद्बोधन के ऊपर अविनाश जी की कमेंट्री. तो अविनाश जी को भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. ऐसे संगोष्ठियों के माध्यम से बहुत कुछ जानने का अवसर मिलता है और मैं एक जिज्ञासु की तरह हमेशा इस तरह की संगोष्ठियों में उपस्थित रहना लाजिम समझता हूँ, उचित समझता हूँ. यद्यपि कि प्रोफेसर गोदावरी मिश्र जी ने, जो कि नालंदा में है और हिंदी बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझते हैं, बोलते हैं, इसलिए मुझे क्षमा करेंगे, मैं हिंदी में ही अपनी बात को रखना चाहूँगा। वक्त पड़ने पर अंग्रेजी में रखना अलग बात है, लेकिन क्योंकि आपको हम लोगों ने अडॉप्ट कर लिया है एज ए बिहारी, और बिहार में हिंदी माध्यम प्रोमिनेंट है। तो खैर
हिंदी में बोलूंगा प्रोफेसर, इसके बाद कभी होगा तो अभी हिंदी हो गया बोलने के लिए।
भाषा के बंधन में अपने को नहीं रखते हुए मैं विषय वस्तु पर अपने ढंग से जो मुझे समझ में बातें आती हैं मैं उनको आपके समक्ष रखना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि समय कम है। तो इस बुद्ध पूर्णिमा के अवसर पर डॉक्टर रजनी सिन्हा ने एक इस आयोजन को आपने आयोजित बड़े अच्छे ढंग से किया है। आपके प्रिंसिपल को, आपके इंस्टीट्यूशन को, आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देना चाहेंगे। यद्यपि कि हमारी तबीयत बहुत अच्छी नहीं थी, लेकिन चूंकि आपके कार्यक्रमों में सदैव मैं उपस्थित रहा हूँ, इसलिए आज भी उपस्थित होना उचित मैंने समझा। जहाँ तक महात्मा बुद्ध के ये माइंडफुलनेस, पीस एंड माइंडफुलनेस, ये पीस एंड माइंडफुलनेस इज इंटर रिलेटेड टॉपिक। अब यहाँ हम देखते हैं कि पीस, इंटरनल पीस, इंडिविजुअल पीस एंड द वर्ल्डली पीस, जगत में शांति व्याप्त हो और व्यक्ति के जीवन में शांति हो। तो जब भी हम पीस की बात करते हैं तो दोनों पक्ष को लेना आवश्यक हो जाता है। ये बात सही है कि भारतवर्ष में जो दार्शनिक हुए, तो अब महात्मा बुद्ध, महावीर, ये दोनों जैनिज्म और बुद्धिज्म, दो धर्म के प्रवर्तकों ने शांति पर बहुत अधिक बल दिया है। क्योंकि प्रोफेसर गोदावरी मिश्रा ने एक ऐतिहासिक परिप्रेक्ष्य को भी रेखांकित किया कि किस परिस्थिति में महात्मा बुद्ध उद्बुद्ध हुए, महावीर आए, और दोनों बिहार की धरती पर, बिहार की पावन धरती पर दार्शनिकों का एक बहुत बड़ा वर्ग आया। और आपने सही बताया कि मिथिला के दर्शन हो, बुद्धिज्म हो, जैनिज्म हो, तो बिहार अपने आप में एक दर्शन शास्त्र के लिए एक अनूठा प्रदेश है। अब यहाँ महात्मा बुद्ध का अवदान क्या है? तो शंकराचार्य और महात्मा बुद्ध की तुलना करने के साथ ही हम समझ सकते हैं कि महात्मा बुद्ध का अवदान कितना बड़ा है। मैं एक थिंकर को कम और दूसरे थिंकर को ज्यादा आंकने की गलती नहीं करता, लेकिन अगर हम देखते हैं कि भारतीय दर्शन का मूल मंत्र दुख और दुख निवृत्ति, सफरिंग एंड इमेंसिपेशन कहें, सफरिंग एंड गेटिंग रिड ऑफ सफरिंग, हम महात्मा बुद्ध के 4 आर्य सत्यों के बदले में सिर्फ 2 सिंप्लीफिकेशन के लिए कि जीवन और जगत में दुख व्याप्त है और दुख से मुक्ति हमें चाहिए। अब दुख के कारण, दुख के उपाय, इन सबों को एलाबोरेट थिंकिंग और एलाबोरेट एनालिसिस न करते हुए मैं 4 आर्य सत्य को 2 आर्य सत्य के रूप में अगर लेते हैं तो शंकराचार्य ने भी अज्ञान को दुख का कारण माना और इस अज्ञान से मुक्ति को ये हम अपने जीवन का लक्ष्य माना। और शंकराचार्य और महात्मा बुद्ध दोनों ने ये मुक्ति का जो आनंद का एक स्थिति है वो माइंडफुलनेस की स्थिति कहिए, पीस की स्थिति कहिए। तो अब यहाँ शंकराचार्य ने व्यक्तिगत मुक्ति की बात की और महात्मा बुद्ध हीनयान बुद्धिज्म में व्यक्तिगत मुक्ति की बात की गई है, आत्मदीपो भव। लेकिन महायान बुद्धिज्म में सर्व मुक्ति की बात की गई है और निश्चित ही भारतीय दर्शन के परिप्रेक्ष्य में महात्मा बुद्ध का एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण अवदान है, क्योंकि उन्होंने सर्व मुक्ति की बात की। और जब तक कि कोई भी व्यक्ति दुख में संलिप्त है, दुख से आक्रांत है, तब तक मुक्ति का सही अर्थ नहीं होता है। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा अवदान, पहले भी इस पर चर्चा की जा चुकी है। और दूसरा एक अवदान जिसको कि रेखांकित करना चाहेंगे कि किस तरह से जो ब्राह्मणिज्म की बात की गई, तो ब्राह्मणिज्म का मतलब यहाँ ब्राह्मण बाई कास्ट तो है नहीं, ब्राह्मणिज्म इज एन आइडियोलॉजी और जिसमें कोई कर्मकांड एक एसेंशियल कंपोनेंट रहा है ब्राह्मणिज्म का। तो महात्मा बुद्ध ने इस कर्मकांड को विखंडित किया क्योंकि एक जो ब्राह्मणिकल थॉट था जिसमें कास्टिज्म एंड दिस कर्मकांड। तो अब यहाँ कर्मकांड और जाति प्रथा, इन दोनों का महात्मा बुद्ध ने खंडित किया। यह महात्मा बुद्ध का एक अवदान है, इसलिए महात्मा बुद्ध को एक क्रांतिकारी दृष्टा के रूप में, क्रांतिकारी दार्शनिक के रूप में हम मानते हैं। हाँ, ये बात सही है कि फिलॉसफी और फिलोसोफाइजिंग में अंतर होता है। प्रोफेसर गोदावरी मिश्रा ने महात्मा बुद्ध के दार्शनिक क्रिया की चर्चा की और ये बात सही है कि मेटाफिजिकल कॉन्सेप्ट्स को महात्मा बुद्ध निरस्त करते हैं। आत्मा, परमात्मा, अल्टीमेट रियलिटी, ब्रह्म, इन सारी चीजों का भले ही निरस्त करते हैं, लेकिन महात्मा बुद्ध के जो अवधारणाएं हैं वो फिलोसोफाइजिंग। महात्मा बुद्ध वाज ए फिलोसोफर, नोबडी कैन डिनाई, दो ही डिनाइड मेटाफिजिक्स। मेटाफिजिक्स पर प्रश्न चिन्ह उठते हैं, लेकिन फिलोसफी का बी ऑल और एंड ऑल मेटाफिजिक्स नहीं है। और प्रोफेसर अविनाश जी ने प्रश्न उठाया और अच्छे से उठाया, और प्रोफेसर गोदावरी मिश्रा जी का जो मंतव्य था वो भी बिल्कुल स्पष्ट रहा है। और निश्चित ही महात्मा बुद्ध को एक अद्वितीय, यूनिक फिलोसोफर के रूप में हम मानते हैं, क्योंकि उनके अवदान को भारतीय दर्शन में एक रूपता है। मोस्ट ऑफ चारवाक दर्शन को छोड़ दें तो सारे दर्शन को हम लेते हैं, थीस्टिक और एथीस्टिक, ऑर्थोडॉक्स और हेटेरोडॉक्स, तो वो मुक्ति की बात, मोक्ष की बात सभी करते हैं। उसका रूप बदल जाता है और उस मोक्ष की अवधारणा के अंतर्गत एक नया कंट्रीब्यूशन महात्मा बुद्ध ने दिया है जो समाज से संबंधित है, सर्व मुक्ति की कल्पना। मैं इस पर बल देना चाहूंगा कि इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ रजनी जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। क्योंकि 8 मिनट धन्यवाद के लिए मुझे छोड़ना होगा और बोलने के लिए तो बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, कुछ रिपीटेटिव भी बातें आई है और निश्चित ही कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ माइंडफुलनेस पर अलग से एक वार्तालाप हो। और निश्चित ही गोदावरी मिश्रा और बैजनाथ, प्रोफेसर बैजनाथ लाभ जी को पुनः हम लोग आमंत्रित करें और दूसरे मंचों से भी। तो मैं इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ बहुत बहुत बधाई देते हुए, और जितने भी लोग हैं, राजकुमारी जी हैं, आलोक जी हैं, बहुत सारे लोग हैं, प्रशांत शुक्ला हैं, निश्चित ही सबकी बातों को सुनने के लिए समय नहीं है। तो अच्छे श्रोता के रूप में ही अपने को मानता हूँ, अच्छा वक्ता तो मैंने कभी अपने को नहीं माना। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं रजनी जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देते हुए अपनी वाणी को विराम देना चाहूँगा।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, थैंक यू सो मच। आप आए, आपकी तबीयत भी ठीक नहीं है, फिर भी आपने हमारा निमंत्रण स्वीकार किया, उसके लिए मैं बहुत आपकी आभारी हूँ और आपके प्रति कृतज्ञता अर्पित करती हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। अब मैं आगे बढ़ती हूँ थोड़ा। अब धन्यवाद के लिए मैं हमारे महाविद्यालय के संस्कृत विभाग के प्राध्यापक डॉक्टर अखिलेश शर्मा सर को आमंत्रित करती हूँ कि वो वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के लिए अपना दे। डॉक्टर अखिलेश शर्मा।
धन्यवाद मैडम। आज एक दिवसीय जो राष्ट्रीय चर्चा सत्र था, गौतम बुद्ध शांति एवं ध्यान का जीवन, इस विषय पर राजर्षि शाहू महाविद्यालय के हमारे मूल जी जेठा महाविद्यालय के तथा भारतीय दर्शन परिषद की ओर से जो ये आयोजित किया गया था, निश्चित रूप से मैं आज विशेष धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा आज के मुख्य अतिथि प्रोफेसर वैजनाथ जी लाभ जी के लिए कि उन्होंने जो 4 चीजें हमें बताई हैं वो ही शांति और वही मस्तिष्क के विकास के लिए सबसे अधिक आवश्यक हैं, जिन्हें हम कह सकते हैं, उन्हीं की भाषा में यदि मैं कहूँ तो कायानुपස්සना, वेदनानुपස්සना, चित्तानुपස්සना और धम्मानुपස්සना ही वास्तव में जीवन में शांति ला सकती हैं। और यही आज की बुद्ध पूर्णिमा का विशेष महत्व है। मैं निश्चित रूप से लाभ सर को उनके प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त करना चाहूंगा कि आप सदैव हमें इसी प्रकार मार्गदर्शन करते रहें और आपने जिस प्रकार से अपने जीवन को बुद्ध के वचनों के अनुसार बनाया है, निश्चित रूप से हम सब भी उस ओर बढ़ेंगे। पुनश्च एक बार आपका हार्दिक धन्यवाद एवं हार्दिक आभार। उसके पश्चात आज के मुख्य वक्ता आदरणीय गोदावरी जी मिश्रा जी, जिन्होंने कि हमें ऐतिहासिक राजनीतिक परिप्रेक्ष्य में और किस परिप्रेक्ष्य में उनका जन्म हुआ, निश्चित रूप से जिस परिप्रेक्ष्य में उनका जन्म हुआ वे सारी परिस्थितियों के अनुसार हम किस प्रकार से शांत जीवन व्यतीत कर सकते हैं, फिर चाहे वो नागार्जुन के उन्होंने उदाहरण दिए हैं, अष्टांगिक मार्ग की बात कही है, अनेक चर्चाएं आपने की हैं। उन सारी चर्चाओं को तो मैं यहाँ पर नहीं बताऊंगा, पर केवल इतना कहना चाहूंगा कि अंत में आपने जो कहा मैत्री, करुणा, मुदिता, उपेक्षा, ये सारी चीजें शांत जीवन के लिए आवश्यक हैं। आदरणीय मिश्रा सर का, उनका भी मैं महाविद्यालय की ओर से, महाविद्यालय के दर्शन विभाग की ओर से हार्दिक हार्दिक धन्यवाद एवं आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूंगा। उसके साथ ही प्रोफेसर श्रीवास्तव जी ने भले ही संक्षिप्त समय में हमें मार्गदर्शन दिया है, परंतु निश्चित रूप से अतिशय उत्तम उन्होंने हमें मार्गदर्शन दिया। साथ ही हमारे अध्यक्ष जी, जो कि हम सबके मार्गदर्शक हैं, हम सबके प्रेरणा स्रोत हैं, और सदैव जैसे कि आप बता ही रहे थे कि आप रुग्ण हैं, उसके पश्चात भी आपने उपस्थित रहे, और मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि पूरे 1.5 से 2 घंटे तक आप उपस्थित रहे हैं। तो आपने सदैव हम सबको मार्गदर्शन दिया है, और ऐसे ही मार्गदर्शन देते रहे, ये अपेक्षा है, ये कामना है। इसके साथ ही प्रोफेसर पूनम सिंह मैडम, प्रोफेसर राजकुमारी सिन्हा मैडम, साथ ही अन्य सभी विद्वत वर्ग जो कि यहाँ पर विद्यमान थे, भले ही वे आज श्रोता के रूप में विद्यमान थे, परंतु उनका सदैव आशीर्वाद हम सबको प्राप्त होता रहता है। हमारी इस कार्यक्रम की संयोजिका आदरणीय सिन्हा मैडम, जिनके कारण हम सब ने आज की बुद्ध पूर्णिमा को बड़े ही सुंदर ढंग से मनाया है, उनके इस पुरुषार्थ को मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि योजकः तत्र दुर्लभ, वे योजक हैं और हम सबको इकट्ठा करती हैं, और हम सब लाभान्वित होते हैं इन बड़े बड़े। मैं तो अंत में ये कहना चाहूंगा कि जो बुद्धम शरणम गच्छामि है, तो ये जितने भी बुद्ध लोग हैं यहाँ आज विद्यमान, इन सबके लिए भी ये वाक्य आज प्रेरणादायी है कि हम सब बुद्धम शरणम गच्छामि हैं। और हम सबको इकट्ठा करने के लिए आदरणीय सिन्हा मैडम का भी धन्यवाद, विशेष रूप से हमारे महाविद्यालय के प्राचार्य, जिनका आशीष हमें सदा मिलता रहता है, हमारी केसी सोसाइटी के अध्यक्ष आदरणीय प्रज्ञावंत नंद कुमार जी बेंडाले जी, जिनके आशीर्वाद से हम सब यह कार्य कर रहे हैं। और आज जिनके हमने स्मृति दिवस मनाया, आदरणीय बेंडाले अन्ना जिनको हम कहते हैं, जो कि हमारे पूरे संस्था को जिन्होंने बनाया है, पुष्पित किया है, पल्लवित किया है। तो इस अंतिम क्षणों में, इस सभा के अंतिम क्षणों में पुनश्च हमारे आज की संयोजिका कार्यक्रम के जिन्होंने संयोजन किया, पुष्पलता जी, तथा सभी का, हमारे संस्था के जो लोग इस कार्यक्रम के लिए अपना समय देते हैं, जो श्रोता हैं, जो वक्ता है, एक बार आप सबका पुनश्च हार्दिक हार्दिक धन्यवाद। तथा इस महाविद्यालय एवं महाविद्यालय के अध्यक्ष, प्राचार्य, आप सभी का साथ लेकर के इस कार्य को हम ऐसे ही आगे बढ़ाते रहें, हमारे दर्शनों की परंपरा ऐसे ही आगे बढ़ती रहे। एक बार आप सबका पुनश्च हार्दिक हार्दिक धन्यवाद, आभार। धन्यवाद मैडम।
धन्यवाद सर, आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और इस हमारे गूगल मीट लिंक के लिए मैं डॉक्टर विनय तिवारी का भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहती हूँ कि विनय ने हमारे इस पूरे टाइम में हम हर व्याख्यान में वो इसको लिंक हमको ये करता है, अवेलेबल करा के देता है, और वो
विनय जी का नाम रह गया, विनय जी का
2 से 3 घंटे वो बैठता है, तो उसके लिए मैं विनय का भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ। और आप सभी आए, आप सभी का समय बहुत मूल्यवान है, और उस समय से समय निकाल कर मिश्रा सर और आरती सिन्हा सर, राजकुमारी सिन्हा मैडम, बाकी के जितने भी सभी हैं आए, मैं सभी का फिर से एक बार बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ। और इसी तरह आप लोग हमारा साथ पद देते रहे, मैं इस तरह के कार्यक्रम करती रहूँ। धन्यवाद सर।
धन्यवाद।
बहुत बढ़िया प्रोग्राम रहा मैडम, आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। हाँ
प्रोफेसर रजनी मैडम, आपको बहुत शुभकामनाएं, बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम रहा ये।
लगता है रजनी जी
हेलो।